Don't forget to suck some titties.
Apparently, there is this term from this new generation of slang called chopped up, which is basically saying men are ugly. And there's this viral video going around that a lot of people are having a field day with because it's pretty telling. In my opinion, a lot of people, they use these terms instead of just saying what it is because they want to be slick. They want to get off on technicality. And saying the word someone is ugly or they're not attractive, you don't want to come off as an asshole or a bitch. So user. And to be honest, it's always from on a nice level, looking ladies, even guys. But I would say more of average looking ladies, because an average looking girl has a lot more. The things that these Love Island shows have done is they have given, and these Pop the Balloon shows, they have given average looking people that are not even unattractive, but they're not attractive enough to be speaking about everyone's attraction. And when you give people like these Pop the Balloon shows, it has given people this control, these button jubilee shows where it gives people control for the first time in their lives. They can be really, really mean. And being mean, look, it's okay to have standards and just admit what you like and what you don't like and stuff like that. But a lot of these people, they've been hurt by plenty of men, and it shows. There is, and you even get guys. Guys get in shape for like a couple months. They learn some jiu-jitsu, and all of a sudden, they have a scope of, what the bitches in Miami want. A lot of people have gotten this false sense of the more harsh and mean you are, the more of an attraction you become, and the more of standards you have. Being harsh for no reason doesn't make you have higher standards than default. I think people think that the more restrictive you are on things, the more you attract what you want. And what ends up happening is you ironically attract all the things you don't want, because the people that typically get attracted to that stuff are people who know how to finesse and manipulate women in general. And guys, it could go both ways. But you get what I'm saying here. And this gal, this term, calling men chopped up, the funniest part was her explaining, it was nice to go out and I saw a really attractive guy today. And it just made me feel good. It's just nice to see someone attractive. Admittingly, she said, he didn't look at me. He didn't talk to me. He didn't give me his number. Nothing. Imagine we've cultivated a society. We are so happy about people that don't give us attention more than the ones that do. We obsess over what we can't have or what doesn't want us. And then we are surprised when we pursue and attain those things when they're like, yeah, I still don't want you. When people have this heavy pursuit for a career of some sort and they realize, oh, this isn't what I thought it would be. It's provided some benefits, but for some reason, why doesn't it want me in return the way I pursued it? When you pursue something so hard and it doesn't want you in return, that's a tough pill to swallow. But we got we're just creating terms. It's like, just say men just don't keep up with themselves. Look, man, I'll be honest. I haven't shaved in 2 months. I just showered. My hair's all over the place. So I would probably be someone, if she came on the street and would say, he's looking a little chopped up. But 9 months ago, it would be a whole different animal. Wink, wink. And that's the crazy part. But we are just visual creatures. We would rather want gratification of something in a person that didn't even notice us. That's the crazy part. This guy did not even notice her. And yet, she wanted to make a video and basically tell the world, it's nice to see someone attractive that doesn't notice me. You know? And these are the type of people where years from now, they're going to be like, why doesn't anyone want me? Why doesn't anyone love me? It's always blame, blame, blame. And yeah, chopped up. I didn't even know this was a fucking term. You know, we just creating shit these days. But yeah, always wanting what we don't. And that's the thing. The internet has created from these shows. For some reason, I don't know, like, I've always been critical of these pop the balloon show. It really, when you see what it is, people are just so extremely harsh. And people just want to feel like they're in control of rejection. I think that's that's a reason why when you see a bunch of quote unquote, as the kids say, mid-level person having these exponential expectations, right? These exponential criticism for no reason. Like, you get on these shows, he'll be a decent, nice looking guy. He seems like he's got a pretty decent job. And the girl's there and he's going down the line or whatever. And she'll, I don't really like your belt, you know. And then he's like, I think you're a nice girl. I just don't think we would fit. And she's like, well, you know what? Your shirt doesn't match. Your hair is all whacked out. This, that. And then they just start going on a list of things that's wrong with the person. And that's the weird thing. It's weird because even when you meet someone that you like and you date them and you love, in the back of your mind, even the best of people, I think it's just instinctual. You're always picking up data, You're always picking up things to hold against someone if they ever screw you over. And that's why you can't just take someone being nice to you all the time and think that they're going to be nice to you a year from now. The second you disappoint people, the second you tell someone, I don't know about, I like you, but I don't know if this would ever be a thing. Then you see the true colors. You see how people handle rejection. You see, now if you're just unnecessarily harsh in the beginning and someone's like, all right, well, fuck you too. Like, all right. But people just politely like, hey, I think you're cool, but I just don't think we really fit for whatever reason. All of a sudden, people go off the wheels, say you look like this and that. It's like, but you were about to go on another date with a person that was under your height requirement, under your standards, doesn't have a certain type of occupation you would like, dresses a way you don't like, a person you want to be seen out with, someone this, that, and the other. And this girl specifically, like, she was probably like 22, 23. She looked like she was walking around like a college campus or in a city or something. And it really just exposes that you get people in certain settings where they feel like they have just any type of options. What really when people have never had exposure or options at certain points in their life, it seems like it is an excuse. It is a road that they go to get payback, to feel in control, to feel like they can now hand out what they've been receiving for most of their lives. When really you should use that power to be the kind of person that you did not like to be treated as. You can take that whole new ownership as a way to like, you know what? I can't control how people treated me at that point, but now that I'm in a certain position where I'm the motherfucker on the block, I'm going to be 10 times better than how someone rejected me and how those situations went. And I'm going to treat these situations with grace and maturity. But no, We just create terms like, what's the term again? God damn, like this is such a new fucking term. Chopped up. And really, you have just chopped up your integrity and your morals along the way, just for you to say, I told them so. And all over a guy or an individual that didn't even look at you, didn't view you in the same way. So ironically, you were still in the same position, but now you're just annoying, you know? But yeah, welcome to episode 348, 49. I don't fucking know. You'll read the episode title. Yeah. Of the Off Me podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, most part, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to suck some titties. Yeah. Record this on June 22nd, 2025 Eastern for the archives. God damn, these bugs are everywhere. Yeah. Another thing on my list. I actually wrote down some things I wanted to talk about today. So, well, actually, news is going crazy in sports. Last night, Jon Jones, well, I guess he told Dana White the night before, but it was officially announced that he's retiring from the UFC. Which I don't think is really too big of a surprise. I mean, he's kind of been in that phase, kind of like boxers do, where when they get to a certain level, they're taking a lot of time in between matches. And I always felt I don't think he was going to fight again, at least in the next year or two. That's just my opinion. But, you know, there's a lot of people. There's been this campaign for one, strip Jon Jones, because he's been basically holding up the heavyweight division while not fighting and all this stuff. And I get it. You know, I'm not saying eventually he shouldn't have been stripped of his title. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You don't get any. It's not like I don't think you get an extra bonus for holding a title. Like, he's already got the endorsements. He's already a prize fighter, even if he doesn't have a title. If he were, like, 2 years from now, do a comeback fight in the UFC, they're going to pay him 5x any other fighter probably in the heavyweight division. People say what they want, but it is what it is. My thing is, I think it's a deeper discussion about people's idea for hating Jon Jones. One, people are saying him retiring and avoiding a fight with Tom Aspinall is going to affect his legacy. I think in real time, we always over-exaggerate how much stuff affects the legacy. Like, we always say, oh, they're going out bad. It's like, I don't care if LeBron's last 3 years with the Lakers is completely irrelevant. I don't care if they I don't even care if they make the playoffs. I don't care. I mean, winning another title, we say it'll help, but then in history, we're always going to say the same bullshit anyways that we do in media, where it's ring culture and stuff like that, which that's a whole different discussion. So I'm going to stay on topic. But in sports, in real time, we always kind of over-exaggerate how much it affects long-term legacy. Like George Foreman lost fights at the end of his legacy. Tyson lost fights. And the thing with combat sports, and the reason I don't really enjoy it, boxers, the bigger they get, the bigger, like when Mayweather, especially when you're protecting a record, an undefeated record, which I know Jon Jones wasn't technically undefeated, but it was undefeated. When you're kind of, it's like, I don't really think he cares if he loses a fight, but he understands for some reason, and boxers and combat fighters, and like, you lose that one fight for some reason, it's like, oh, they're not the greatest of all time, and this and that. Like, okay, when every other fighter you would say is better than Jon Jones in his division, he probably would have beat the shit out of them all in their prime. But whatever. But it's a bigger discussion, and really as fans and media And really, with the way boxing specifically works, but even UFC to an extent, the way the promotion aspect is, a lot of the business, the outside, the promoters and stuff like that, they affect the purity of the sport that we really want to see. We say we want to see the best of the best, but if Jon Jones were to fight Tom Aspinall and he loses a fight, right? Then all of a sudden, oh, Jon Jones isn't the greatest of all time or one of the best of what he does. It's like, oh, this whole thing. Even if he fought Tom Aspinall and he lost a pretty close fight, he's still going to probably be considered the greatest heavyweight of all time, regardless, until someone overtakes that. It doesn't take away the actual thing, but perception has gotten into fighters' heads so much in their camps and their team and stuff like that, that yeah, they are going to manufacture fights that fit their style, that will protect the record. Like, we aren't, like, if we're being honest, in the UFC and boxing, because boxing is basically just a freaking freelancer sport at this point for the most part. When you get to a certain level, like, you're basically picking and choosing who you want to fight. It's not division. Canelo can fight whoever he wants at any time if the money's right. And he doesn't have to fight anything he doesn't want to fight. And that's the thing, man. Like, we as fans, we have kind of ruined this. We have ruined sports in this way. We don't appreciate a competitor for going in and fighting the best of the best, and if they lose, still appreciate them. That's the part. We always say we want rings and champions and all this stuff. But then champions go and they lose, and all of a sudden now we make them feel worse than the people who never made it to begin with. That's the crazy part. Like, tonight is Game 7 of the finals, right? If the Thunder, let's just say it potentially could be the biggest upset in history on paper. But I'll be honest, you watch the game, I don't really think there's that big of a gap between the talent and stuff like that. But whatever. If the Thunder lose Game 7 of the NBA Finals, we're going to treat the Thunder like they are worse than, well, before they traded Kevin Durant, the Phoenix Suns, who didn't even make the playoffs, I don't think. We're going to treat them worse than, you know, some team that get bounced. Like, we're going to treat them worse than the Heat, who got demolished in the first round of the playoffs. We make people that are so close and they lose so much worse than teams who just half-ass it or they just like mail it in. It's almost like better if you're not competitive. You would have been better just to kind of lose early on than to go all the way, fight your ass off, and you just lose. You know, you lose to the better person or the better team. And the way what this Jon Jones thing exposes is that we just want the best of the best to feel like the worst. And we're always looking to just tear people down. And I'm not saying Jon Jones is a perfect person. I'm not saying him holding the division hostage was right if he knew he was going to retire. I mean, maybe he really thought he was going to fight, but he needed time for whatever reason. When you have that type of leverage, you don't have to fight. It's a little bit different. I think a fair question would be simply, if you're really interviewing Jon Jones, I think there's a real genuine question. Like, what should have been asked months ago was, do you even enjoy fighting anymore? Like, a certain, you make it to that level. It's like, I literally, every time I fight, there's not even the enjoyment of chasing anything. It is just, I'm here, everyone hates me, and everyone just wants to see me lose. Everyone hates when I win, and everyone will be the happiest when I lose. Why would I put myself in that position? There's no enjoyment. He doesn't have, and this is he's created this for himself from off the court field, whatever, off the octagon. instances, like he has a share of issues. And he's created a persona that kind of makes him unlikable. I get it. But as an all-time great at what he does, what does he get out of it? Like, what does he get? If he beats Tom Aspinall, it doesn't increase his legacy one bit. If he loses, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame anyways, but people are like 10 years, oh, but he lost that one fucking fight. No one gives a fuck. Look at records from elite MMA fighters from the 2000s, 2010s. Bro, at the end of their careers, they're getting demolished. Forrest Griffin, great fighter. He has great share of losses. Jorge Masvidal, he's like a fan favorite. That dude has a lot of losses. Conor McGregor has had a few losses. Nate Diaz has double-digit losses. Dustin Poirier, TJ Dillon, Dominic Cruz, you're going to lose eventually. And you could still be an all-time great. BJ Penn is getting beat up by random people now. Not even making fun of him, but, fighting is one of those things. Once people start seeing you lose and get your ass beat, and you're not this invincible nature, which is what we seek in combat sports. And when people don't have that extra fear in you, it changes the whole dynamic of quote unquote how we view you. And it's so stupid. And it's really fans' fault. We have ruined why people complain, why they dodge fighters and this and that. Well, look how we treat when the best play the best. You lose, we don't even appreciate a team going 7 games. We don't even appreciate someone taking on a fight where they have nothing to gain from it. They have everything to lose. We create these bullshit narratives in the media. We create this ring culture where it's just a lazy assessment for fans and media when they don't want to give a real in-depth analysis. They're like, oh, but this asshole has 3 fucking rings. I didn't get into it. But there, people are going back where ESPN did a flashback of Pat Riley losing, I think, the 93 and 94 finals. They lost to the Rockets, I believe. And, the fans go in the comments. John Starks went 2 for 18. He went 2 from 18 from the field. And people are like, oh, Ewing, he got demolished. Ewing's not a champion. This, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, he probably did get destroyed by a Hall of Famer and Hakeem Olajuwon. He's not absolved from blame. But sit here and have all the blame be on him, and your co-star, who you're supposed to rely on to fucking help you out when you're playing Hakeem fucking Olajuwon, goes 2 for 18. Come on. What are we talking about here? Oh, Ewing, he's not a champion. He's not a fucking champion. Who gives a fuck? You're telling me your all-time team, you're going to take fucking Miles Turner if he wins a ring over Patrick fucking Ewing? No disrespect to Miles Turner, but if we're going to do that shit, it's a lazy fucking assessment. You're going to pick Miles Turner over Patrick Ewing if he wins a fucking ring. That's how lazy we become. Are you going to pick Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein? Sometimes we need to take the bullshit that as much as we complain about LeBron James controlling teams and trading guys, you know why? Because he knows, at the end of the day, in this world, I'm going to be, whether I win a team, whether I win or lose, it doesn't matter. They're not going to look at everything that's happening. They don't care that my first stint in Cleveland, I basically wasted 6 to 7 years carrying average players around. And he's like, I'm not doing that shit. I can't do that shit. I'm getting older. I'm not as athletic the older I get. So fuck that. I don't care if people call me Le GM. I don't care if people say I control franchises and shit. And yet, when I control franchises, it seems they don't fuck around, because I'm not going to rely on some asshole upstairs who wants to keep his job as a GM and executive and they get their nice little bonuses, and we're just status quo building a fucking team, and we never actually give fucking better. Give me fucking Luka Doncic. I do not give a fuck. Fuck, respectfully. And it's, you want me to rely on some person upstairs who most of them don't really care. Their objective isn't necessarily to build a championship team, but I'm going to get all the blame, and I'm going to waste 12 to 15 years to be loyal to a franchise when they don't even want to be loyal to fucking winning and even trying to make our team better. Fuck that. Damn, this power goes out. Power went out for a second. And us fans, we have these lazy assessments of ring culture. I'm not saying rings don't matter, but rings, if you were just saying someone has a ring and they produced for a short period of time, and then they get a big contract, go somewhere else, and you realize they can't really replicate that, I don't want to fucking hear it. Like, yes, there are players that are better on, their skill set translates better to winning basketball than other players. That is absolutely true. And there are some players, when you play with LeBron James in his prime, you're going to look like a winning basketball player. You play, it's just insanity. Like, it all matters, but also at the same time, ring culture is just so we can have these first takes. And at the end of the day, if you're losing an argument, how many rings does he have compared to him? How many playoff appearances he had? Who gives a fuck? You know what? Fine. Since you think this 6 man on a fucking average team because he won a ring 4 years ago that he was a mild contributor to is better than Donovan Mitchell, how about this? Put that person, have him be the number 1 option on Cleveland, and let's see how fucking good he looks. No, let's see it. They're not even going to cover him the same. Like, let's talk about it. But these bland-ass sports takes will have you fucking believe that, remember when the Spurs won? Like, the Spurs had a system. They had you believing Davis Bertans was like a legitimate fucking small forward. People really like, and not saying he was bad, he got traded to the Wizards, and guess what? He got Wizard. He got Wizard of Oz, all right? It's just so fucking ridiculous. Like, but yeah. Jon Jones. Y'all are to blame for this shit happening. Which also goes, breaking news. I couldn't believe when I saw it earlier. Well, I mean, I guess I'm not surprised, but I don't know if they did this trade on the finals day to kind of have it take some of the thunder away. No pun intended. But, so Kevin Durant officially has been traded to the Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and like, it literally said 5 second round picks, so literally 5 wasted of nothing. It's almost like with each trade, we're getting like every couple weeks to a month. It's like, it's a slightly more significant player. It's like with each trade, the next team's like, you got the extra couple draft picks. But this is actually a useless one because you're just getting 5 second round draft picks. And for the Suns, I'm going to be honest. If I'm Devin Booker, I'm asking for a fucking trade. I am not running it back. I'm sorry. Like, I've been, like, Devin Booker went through the first portion of his career where the Suns were dog shit. Then he got criticized for empty stats, good stats, bad team. And then they got Chris Paul. Changed the whole scope. And they got some good quality players, and they made the finals. They at least had a stretch where they were legitimately competitive. Then they get Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. Now the Bradley Beal thing is one thing. Basically like, hey, Bradley Beal, you're going to need to fucking step it up, bro. I guess they're like, hey, look, if we're playing Bradley Beal, man, you're going to get on this court. And look, they weren't the greatest, but at least they were entertaining. And now we're basically kind of going back, not as bad as the beginning, but definitely not great. They're literally going to be running a team out there with Devin Booker, Mason Plumlee, maybe. I don't know if he's still on the Suns. Nurkic. But no, he got traded, I think. But Dylan Brooks. Now Jalen Green, I don't know. He seems like a talent. I don't know how him and Devin Booker really fit. Like, if you're complaining about Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland in the backcourt, I don't know how you think that's going to work. And it's going to be not really a great team. Oh, but people are going to look at, but you're getting rid of an older player and you're getting all these second-round draft picks that mean absolutely fucking nothing. I don't understand. The NBA draft picks are one of the most overrated, especially late first round, the second round. Getting a boatload of them does not replace a Kevin Durant. I'm sorry. And you get a bunch of players that play in the G League. A couple may make the team, have a stint, and then that's it. That's how it's probably going to work for those picks. Now for Houston, hey, I mean, it's certainly interesting. That's for sure. It does kind of make it where it's like you're replacing Jalen Green with Kevin Durant. So you're an older but a more solidified basketball player who is getting up there in age. So your starting court's going to be Fred VanVleet. Okay. Kevin Durant. Amen Thompson. He's going to have to step up offensively, but defensive juggernaut. And after that, I don't fucking know. It could go well. I don't know. But I don't really like it for either team. I don't think it really makes either team significantly better. But yeah. Good times. I don't even want to look at it. I already know it's bad. Yep. There it is. But yeah, good times. Yeah, we just have really ruined entertainment in general. I will say, I don't know what this says about me, but I've been on a Charleston White binge, bro. Like, I've been aware of him. I watched stuff in the past and stuff. But, man, he really just... There's a lot of people that hate him, right? They think he's too harsh and all this stuff. And to an extent. But when he's really breaking down a situation, even the haters, for whatever he's talking about, for the most part, are like, damn, he went into a whole spiel. And I couldn't believe I was listening. It's not even my type of thing. It's not my type of life. But he literally went to the breakdown between a woman and a hoe. A real woman can never be a hoe. But a hoe can always pretend to be a woman. And I was just like, what's wrong with me? Why am I even interested in hearing this stuff? And I don't really have these problems. I'm not obsessed with women versus hoes and stuff like that. But it's fascinating. It just shows that there's such different worlds, such different lives you live in. Things you obsess over compared to others. Like, there are dudes out here that, as older you get, you watch a lot of dudes that make a lot of decisions based off females. And it's really kind of scary. I get it, typically as a young man, we're all chasing a little something. And it ain't love and compassion all the time. And I think the word loyalty and stuff like that, it gets severely abused. Loyalty is typically a lot of people's cop-out because they want to be unconditionally loved for everything that's absolute trash about them. And if you don't attach loyalty to guilt someone to stay, to guilt someone for seeing you through your faults, then no one would want to be with you, you know? And people have attached loyalty and have completely abused the system when it comes to quote-unquote loyalty. Unconditional is also a very scary thing. Unconditional love, whether it's family or, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wannabe boyfriend who won't commit. Unconditional love is a loyal loaded lover. A loyal loaded lover. That's actually not a bad title. But unconditional love is a dangerous game to play because it's where illogical reasoning starts to dwindle. It's where everything kind of teeters out. It's where things have definitely fallen. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. Sorry, I got distracted. There was a fucking squirrel on the damn window. That's why you keep the drapes down. But let me actually, let me attach it to something here. Let me catch my breath here. So everyone knows Rory and Mal, right? I've talked about him before. I watched an interview recently. Rory did an interview with a channel called The Stop, who literally all their videos are kind of talking about the dirt, Rory and Mal, and Joe Budden. He kind of made their name during the whole Joe Budden fiasco with Rory and Mal years ago. And typically podcast beefs and situations and podcast breakups. And he went into he basically, started the interview. He actually got an interview with Rory. And he asked, and Rory immediately said, "You need to apologize to Damaris." And he's like, "Apologize for what?" He's like, "I don't know. You just need to apologize." I'm like, how are you going to ask someone to apologize for someone that you don't even know what they should apologize for? He's like, "I don't know. She's a friend of mine." And I'm like, and everyone's like, okay. But kind of going in about not confronting him, but basically willing to go there. Where Julian, a former member of the show and podcast, they basically fired, I think it was December or so. They fired him before they kind of joined and had their next deal, which is one thing. And there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Julian, he's kind of been on this tour here and there where he still kind of just exposes things about behind the scenes. And there's two sides. I'll be honest. I think sometimes there comes a point where it's all right, man. I get it, man. You felt screwed over. You didn't like stuff to be doing that was going on. Well, you don't work there anymore. Unless you're going to, if you really felt like you were wronged and stuff like that, and you want to sue for what you felt that you were left out, all right, then do that. If you don't like the way they operate business, you always complain how lazy they are, then you should be happy that you're out of that situation and that you don't need that situation. It's weird. I don't get why people get so upset when they get let go or fired from places that they didn't really seem to enjoy working at. It's crazy, If you really liked your job and stuff like that, that's one thing. And it was out of the blue, but it felt like there was a lot leading up to it. But Rory was getting confronted because he keeps throwing shots at Rory Mal and stuff like that. And they never seem to really respond as often as this host would like. He's like, why would we respond to... You don't just respond all the time to unhappy former employees. It makes no sense. He's like, yeah, but if it was me and someone worked for me and then they're always complaining about the work culture and all this stuff, I'm going to respond. And the way I view it, it's like, why would you... There's nothing beneficial to that. Fine, people are unhappy working for you. You going back and forth as a company, as a lot of these podcasts like to call themselves, they want to fill... And here's my view about this podcasting and people that do media and stuff like this, where you're kind of doing your own thing, you're creating your own money and stuff like that. Everyone wants the cool, big money, doing these podcasts and stuff like that. But they still want the 9-to-5 security. And that's kind of the annoying part when it comes to, like, people want the music industry, people want to be producers, artists, and all this stuff. And they want the lavishness, they want the big bucks, they want all the stuff great that comes with it. And then they'll complain about the 9-to-5 structure, they'll complain about following corporate society, they'll shade people for all that stuff, but then yet they want the security of... they want the same pay all the time, even if not everything is performing, when you are also directly responsible for the performance. If you're a producer, for example, because if you're a producer, you're in charge of editing, you're in charge of doing everything to promote it, you're in charge of the concept of pre-show. Like, you're just as responsible for the outcome of the show, technically, if you want to take on that. So it should be directly performance-based, per se. And for me personally, I'm like, people want the 9-to-5 security, but they don't want to be... Everyone wants to do these cool entrepreneurial stuff, and yet they still want the security of, whether that's health insurance, for example, and stuff like that. They want security in an insecure business. And it kind of... I'm like, you can't have it both ways, man. And not just him, but a lot of people. Everyone just... They want secure contracts in a business where it's not secure what you're making all the time. Because views, promotion, stuff like that, it all can fluctuate at a given time. And speaking of podcasts, there's been a thing going around about B Simone. She's a national treasure. And boy, she needs a declaration of independent friendship for sure. And she's come out with another podcast. I feel like this is like her third or fourth different podcast. It's not shading or anything, but she has a lot of questionable business ventures. She's posted a book where half the pages weren't even filled. Apparently, she's had fallouts with friends and business associates. My thing is, and then there was a group of quote unquote people considered friends all together in a photo, and they said all we're missing is fill in the blank, but it wasn't her. And people asked them like, hey, are y'all still friends with B Simone? And they're like, she decided a long time ago that we weren't essentially contributors to her new ventures, and we were not an addition to her life anymore, but we still wish her well. Oh, it was actually pretty respectful for the most part. And B Simone now has a podcast that she does with a friend where she talks about being rich and all this stuff and all the bad stuff that comes with it. And it's basically like a self-trauma healing podcast type of thing. Each their own. And her friend was like, yeah, she's basically dropping in. It's like the last year, I had to move back home, got pregnant. And I've been living with my mom and all this stuff. And And B Simone's like, damn, that's crazy. And then just keeps going on about not realizing, because she's sitting there talking about how she has given out this to this friend. She's bought people houses, which anytime someone's, I've bought people houses, I don't know. I mean, maybe your mom or something, but I've taken care of my friends' houses. I got on people vehicles, and I ain't just drained. It's time to take care of me. You know, that type of thing. You know, good for her, I guess. But then they have those epiphanies where it's like, it's time. I need this. I've just drained myself and all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, you know, I've been over here struggling too. I haven't gotten anything. Now, to be fair, you know, you getting pregnant and moving back home with your mom and getting pregnant while you're living at home, I think there's some decision making. You've got to accept it yourself too. Now, it created a debate. And people are trashing B Simone online for not helping her friend in need, right? Like, not necessarily saying she should pay all of her bills or take care, get her out of debt or help her get back up, but to at least help out with something. And what I will say, look, if she's your friend, but you've been getting out all these other people and you've been watching her struggle so much, it might, I don't know. But and I'm not the biggest B Simone fan, but I'm not going to sit here and say she's responsible for financially taking care of her friend like that just because she can and has it. Now, I'm not saying she shouldn't help her with stuff, but I'm also not going to sit here and be like, oh, she should get her own apartment, pay for 6 months of rent, take care. Like, why is that? You know, and that's the thing. If I was B Simone and I was that rich friend that everyone relied on all the time, like, you get to a point, it's like, why do I always have to, because I've made it to a point, why do I always have to, like, take care of y'all's basic life needs all the time? That's the crazy part. It doesn't mean I don't care about y'all. And it is kind of tone deaf that she's on a podcast with that co-host that she doesn't even know what her co-host is going through, which is kind of wild. It speaks volumes. B Simone does seem a little bit self-obsessed, you know, which most of us are. Otherwise, why would you do a podcast if you didn't want your own obsessive thoughts about what you think about things out there? But you know what? Take the good with the bad. And I don't know. There's this fine line between, I get she should probably be more helpful over time, or at least be aware to at least help her out more. And imagine someone's bragging to you how much they have helped everyone, and yet you probably needed the help more, and you're just sitting here struggling in silence and all this stuff. It's, yeah, that could probably be kind of weird. It probably senses that how good of friends are they really? It seems like B Simone, based off her past experience with friendships, that tells you a lot. Past experiences are typically the best indicator of future experiences when it comes to that, especially with friends. If you have alienated all your friends throughout most of your life, and you always look at, and that's the problem, people get into this stuff and everything is business ventured associated. So everything that doesn't match up dollar for dollar sign, everything just doesn't mean, and you start treating people transactional. Now, people could criticize her, but at the same time, if I'm being fair, if you're from peers and friends, these same people, if people are always treating you as transactional, like, oh, because you got this, tit for tat, you need to help me with this. Otherwise, what kind of friends are, it's like, you know, I can understand why someone, they could start going down that road of treating people transactionally. She has said some stuff in the past. I can't remember, but she's been in some controversies over the years. Stuff she says and stuff. So, you know, and this is the part when you get to certain fit and you start this. I think she's entered into that inner God complex where she really feels like she's done so much for other people. And now it's this self-healing of how much she's given, but feel like she's gotten not much in return. And you kind of get in your own kaleidoscope of a world. And now the actual people that seem like genuine friends to you and they're genuinely struggling, you can't do it one more time and have self-dignity and respect for yourself. Because if that person were to not pay you back or to not use it properly and stuff like that, then now you feel alienated. It creates a strain in your friendship, blah, blah, blah. So it's odd. There's a lot of people roasting her. And I think, to an extent, I think her character in general and how she treats people and this self-sense about herself deserves criticism. But I also don't think she is entitled to take care of the friends she's talking about like that. When at a certain point, you've got to take some accountability and not just hide behind that you're struggling and identify, why are you in this situation? Because you know what? She can pay for the next 3 to 6 months of rent. She could pay off your vehicle. She could get you out of debt. Is there any indicator that you're not going to get in that same position again? What is the indicator that it's not going to happen? So, I don't know. A lot of internet drama, man. A lot of hatred online. That's why you gotta be careful, man. When you portray yourself, the thing you gotta be careful about social media and podcasts is there's two sides of the coin. If you're always playing an extreme character, then people take your exaggerated character and they just treat it as entertainment. Even if you're saying stuff with real messaging and stuff like that. Like when she used to do her over exaggerated, like close up and making all these and then it would have been, and then like, you're gonna come over here and like, yeah, it was slightly, it's not my cup of tea. I'm not the audience for that. But you could be saying real shit about relationships and all this stuff, but it's packaged in a way where it's hidden as entertainment and people are focusing on the exaggerated aspect where people aren't taking you directly, right? But when you actually try to be authentic, you try to talk from the heart, now people are really just looking at you. You know, that's the difference between an online persona and authenticity. There's people that get a lot of views and entertain, and people that get a lot of views playing a character, an extreme exaggerated character. And then when they try to, behind the scenes, this is who I am, a real deep sit down interview, and typically they don't do these deep interviews until there's some type of controversy, and then they got to try to rebrand their image to be more likable or whatever. I think, transitioning from that to this, I think it could kind of, like, if people don't like what you're saying or you come off a certain way or now things are being exposed about you, it can be hard to deal with. And for her, and the thing is about internet and media in general is like, once people have a picture of you, you say something they really, really don't like, whether that's political or your view about something. Everything you say after that, they are finding everything that is wrong with you. Like, you could go on 8 minutes about something and have a pretty standard normal take, and then they'll take a 10-second thing is like, where you said this, and like, oh, this is why you can't trust her. Unsubscribe. It's always funny when people go out of the way to tell you, I'm unsubscribing. It's like, so you want me to take down this whole video that's got 100,000 views because of your one unsubscription? Okay. It's always fun, like, things have changed. And it's always fun. There was someone, I forgot who it was, but they're like, I really don't like your content anymore. I hope you're willing to take criticism from me and change for the better. But But for the time being, I'm unsubscribing. As the video has like 50,000 likes, 500,000 views. And for the most part, like, it was a pretty divisive, whatever the dude was talking about. And it was a, hey, you know, some people like it, some people agree, some people disagree. But it wasn't anything too divisive. But this one person was like, I got to let everyone know I'm unsubscribing. I wish I didn't have to do this. Like a whole dramatic introduction from a no-face comment saying I just don't, you know, if you're going to unsubscribe, just unsubscribe. The best way to unsubscribe is to not leave a comment. The more engagement you give something you don't like, the more that shit's going to get promoted. And you're making a person more money, whether they like you or not. Whether you like them or not. But yeah. Oh, Jesus. Where do we go from here? It's a man's world. What is going on in the news? Oh yeah, I guess this is probably pretty important. But yeah, apparently we have bombed three Iranian nuclear sites. And I'm not even gonna get into the war and stuff like that, because honestly, it's funny. I always just find not the war funny. I always find people's attachment and comments to things that do not affect their daily life. They have such a strong attachment towards things that the things they say about Israel and Iran, it's always funny to me, because I always think about, what if someone was after us like this and they were making comments to us in the manner on these public, the stuff that we allowed to say on X and stuff like that is cool in the sense that it's uncensored and people say what they want and everyone can go about it, and they're very comfortable using terms just to say it. But if it was America getting bombed the way that Israel and Iran are going back and forth with each other, like, just imagine, like, Chicago just getting nuclear sighted on. Just imagine LA. Just imagine Seattle, New York. Just imagine Pittsburgh, pretty big cities. Or just America in general. It doesn't have to be a big city. But just imagine if all over on these websites, it would people coming after us. Then we would be so extra defensive and be like, oh, this is a time where everyone needs all these countries. We all need to come together and all this stuff. We need to unite. We need to find. And then, you know what? But when it's other countries, then all of a sudden we have these strong, what we're pro, what we're against. Oh, Israel's always been this. So Iran deserves, people are just, and most of it's ignorance. And this is speaking from someone who doesn't know a whole lot about everything. But I know enough where this is not good for anyone, what's going on. Because eventually we're going to be involved. We already are. Like, we destroyed nuclear sites. You really think they're not going to try to retaliate towards us in some way? How is that good? This whole thing isn't good for anyone. War is sometimes a necessary evil, but it's not something you should root for. It's typically a resort that sometimes you got to do it to show other countries that you're not fucking around. But it's not something that you should be excited for. There's nothing great about it. It's not exciting. It's sometimes necessary, but there's a lot of things that are necessary that we shouldn't want to resort to. This is not good for anyone involved. Because you know what? Americans in general, we are so into ourselves. We live in the greatest country in the world, and we take for granted that we will just not, we have 9/11, and we have fought counterterrorism pretty well, and we have taken for granted that something like that can't happen again on a bigger scale. But these other man, they're getting bombed left and right, each other. Sometimes us is doing shit, and if it happens to us, though, we become kind of pussies and crybabies about it. Happens to other countries, they deserve it, X, Y, and Z. We rationalize it. But it happens to us, we become ultra defensive. We're too good for this. Everyone come save us. Everyone take care. Everyone don't, all this stuff. It's just, this is not, and then people become political experts. We become geopolitical affairs expert. Everyone has these extreme comments online, but won't put their face attached to it. And I get it, And there's some people, they just say ignorant stuff, and some people say things that may have validity to it. No one's 100% innocent in any of this. I think this isn't a pro-war, anti-war. This isn't even really about politics. It's really just simply, I don't personally get a whole lot of enjoyment. I don't even consume it. Like, obviously, you hear stuff when it happens. You see the clips and stuff like that. It's pretty surreal. I'll be honest with you. But it's not something I'm happy. It's not something my first thing to think about is, oh, well, what did Israel do to deserve this? You jihad. People just start going in about things that's not even about them. And then people are giving their opinions from 5,000, 8,000 miles away, however far they are from us, and talking about what their leaders should do. All of a sudden, everyone's an economic expert. All of a sudden, everyone's a leader expert. Everyone is a warfare expert of how many nuclear weapons. People are like, oh, well, Israel should be careful. Iran, if Israel runs out, Iran has still 80% of their nuclear weapons left. One's already, and everyone becomes experts about stuff that they don't even know if it is true. But they want to be warlords. They want to be dictators themselves. They complain about dictatorship, but then they have these opinions of what every country should do. Think about, if you were America and you were getting bombed, you should just sign a treaty. You would just be like, hey, America, sign a treaty. No, you'd be like, no, we're going to fucking go after them. But then you want these two countries to just concede of who's a winner or loser. Once you're in it, you're in it. The damage is done, and if you concede to it, like Russia and Ukraine, everyone has strong opinions about what countries should do. But yeah, it's stuff like this that makes social media not great. Social media has been good for some things, but events like this, it's not good for anything. All it does is it gives people some strong thoughts and opinions about stuff, and they just gain a bias. They just gain a perspective that suits an agenda that is being fed to them by their favorite YouTube political show. And they just run with it. They don't even look into why, what, how. If Sam Cedar says it, if Ben Shapiro, for example, not saying he has said anything about it, but I'm sure he has in some way. If your favorite is Dave Smith, you're going to go with what he says. If your favorite is Bill Maher, you're going to go with something that he's, And it's just people having an excuse to be up in arms about something. And just imagine if you were living in a city and you saw your neighbor's building getting blown up. Would your first instinct be going on X or whatever and reminding everyone else about Israel and Iran and who's wrong and who's right? Or would it be to be human and try to help who's ever been hurt? But you want Iran and Israel to just treat each other like they treat their own people like they're pieces of garbage. Like, sometimes this stuff needs to happen. Thousands and 10,000s of people, kids, stuff like that, it doesn't need to happen. It's unfortunate because reality, it's happening. So, just my 2 cents. People are going to go up in arms about it. Notice how I didn't give a single political take. I didn't give you a single side of who's right or wrong. All I said was, as an American, look at yourself. If we were being attacked and shit was getting bombed left and right, would you be so worried about bombing whoever else or worried about taking care of our own people? And those countries over there, they just want to take care of their own people with what's going on. This stuff that we're going back and forth, innocent, people are dying. Most have nothing to do with anything that we're having warfare about because of political agendas, because of treaties that have to do with politicians, because of greed. They're not the ones that are dying. They're not the ones in the middle of these main cities that are targets and dying. No, it's innocent people going about their lives just trying to get by, survive their conditions and their own economical issues. But when we got millionaires with stock options and shit like that who are making decisions about, well, we got to sacrifice, we can't just bow down and then another 4,000 people get bombed or whatever. So the people that are making these decisions are people that are much richer than you and I, who don't necessarily have the best interest of taking care of their own people. They're just focused on winning warfare. So, take that for what it's worth. I think I'm going to end it there. Yeah, that was episode 348, 9, whatever the fuck the episode is. You'll read the number. Of the Off Me podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most support, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to suck some titties. Yeah. Have a great day, morning, night, evening.